you off. So Lauren, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Oh wait. Okay. Great. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. So for those of you all in the class who might not be as familiar with Skin 211, tell us a little bit about your origin story. How did you get started?
Okay, so I got started because technically I came here to visit only because I needed back surgery and my 2-year-old just had open heart surgery. And I actually came here just to drop him off a little bit. But the pandemic happened and I got stuck here. And at this point, I needed surgery really bad because I could barely walk. Like I was literally contemplating if I should crash my car because they were saying that my surgery was technically elective. And it's like, to me, it wasn't elective. So then I'm just sitting there debating, like, okay, should I go back to New York or I should stay here in Michigan? And my insurance at the time said that I can technically get surgery here. So I just was waiting to see which state will open first, and Michigan opened first. And just being here, being from New York, where I'm originally from, it's just a lot easier being here. You don't have to deal with traffic. I used to drive 3 hours to work every day, and it's technically a 20-minute drive. So I actually enjoyed being here. I used to, even when I got home, it would take me an hour to find parking. So like just to pull in the driveway was like really nice. Like, so I was just like, why am I gonna live in New York when I don't need to? So then I sat here and tried to apply to some jobs. I applied to probably every bank, and I've already had 3 years of bank experience, and no job will hire me, none. Every bank credit you can think of, they will not hire me. So I just said, hey, I got my esthetician's kit. I am dual licensed in New York and Michigan. Let me try this out. And I already was seeing a lot of clients and things like that. And I just started posting on social media. In the meantime, I was building my website, finding the right booking system, trying to get everything right so when it was time to go, it was go time. And the crazy thing was, like, as I was posting, people was like, oh, when are you open right now? I was like, no. So I would write the name down. I would make a list. So when it was ready to go, I literally wrote all of them, hey, I'm open. First month, I was fully booked. And I've been booked since. So I can't even catch up now. Yeah, so I'm like trying to catch up my business. Not my business catch up with me.
You're trying to catch up with your business, not have your business catch up with you. Can you talk a little bit about some of those foundational things? You said you were building your website. Like, what other stuff were you doing to kind of lay that foundation before you fully opened?
So I honestly listened to the people here in Lansing, and a lot of them would tell me, like, there's no black esthetician. They would say, complain about, having to pay a deposit, having to do things that a lot of beauty providers would like do that would annoy them. I mean, they're still doing it, but he's gotten better. So I just made sure I listened to everything they said, and then I thought about where it would be, and I know more of the west side than I know any other side of town, so I just felt more comfortable being on the west side. And I knew that at the time, that's where everyone went. Like the mall, Lansing Mall was there. It's really built up, so I was just like, okay, with me not really knowing people from there and me being from Waverly, like it would be easy to be there. So that's how I chose that. My booking system, I listened to what they needed. They said they wanted a place that was easy access to book. It shouldn't take you 20 minutes to book an appointment. I made sure I got my phone number. I made sure my website was easy access really quickly. Like, it shouldn't be hard to find my phone number. It shouldn't be hard to give me money. Like, I set up PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, everything you think of. I made it very easy for you to pay me. And that was the main thing I was doing the whole time during the pandemic. Did my LLC, got the bank account, like everything I could think of.
Wow, this is really amazing. So set the stage for us again. When was it that you opened fully? Like doors open, you start getting clients through the door?
June 2020.
Okay.
That was like the first day she said beauty providers can open.
Okay.
So every day I would just hope that she would not close us down. Because I was just like, I don't put money in this and I don't have no job. So let's see if this will work.
So what was it like in June of 2020 juxtaposed to what it's like now? So meaning, what type of challenges were you dealing with specifically through COVID, and kind of how has that impacted business today?
So I couldn't really do facials, or if I did, like they had to wear masks or I had to wear, it was like kind of stuff like that. Then some people felt uncomfortable just to come because of the COVID situation. No one sitting in the lobby, had to be about appointments only, couldn't be walk-ins. It was a lot of restrictions as far as that. Now it's free to do everything. Like, I don't have no restrictions. People can walk in when they want. We don't have to wear masks. Sanitation has always been a thing because I used to work at the hospital, so that was never an issue for me as far as washing my hands, wearing gloves, things like that. So.
Okay. Now let's get into the stuff that nobody tells you about entrepreneurship. Okay. So you open your doors. What were some of the things that were happening behind the scenes that you may not have been as prepared for?
Right now, even now to this day, is people contacting me all the time. I did not know that. I have right now, actually was on FaceTime with my friend and I was showing her, I have 20 messages right now on my Facebook. Just Facebook alone. And like, I'm trying to navigate people to go to my website. Because if you go to my website now, I'll put everything you need. Aftercare, services. I spent like 3-4 hours writing each description and in each service. I even renamed them. So it's like really simple. So, it's an acne facial. For acne. Still get questions. Hey, do you have a facial that's for acne? And I'm like, yes. And that's like the hardest thing is like dealing with people, because from Thanksgiving to like the Thursday before that, I saw 50 clients alone. Mm-hmm. So 50 clients alone, plus having to interact with all my friends, plus having to interact with the 20 people on Facebook that inbox me. I probably talk to 100 people a week or more. So that's hard.
So tell us about your capacity. So how many other folks do you have on your team? Is it just you? What does that look like?
So I have, last time I counted, was 10 people. So I deal with 10 people. I think that's probably one of them calling me now. So it's 10 people I deal with. And we're open 7 days a week too, and we have long hours. And that was another thing, because coming from New York, I'm used to things always being open, late hours. So coming here, I was just like, I'm gonna do that because no one else is doing that. Because if things close at 5 and we all get up, work 5, how are you gonna get your service? Right. So I made it very easy. So when people sit here and say like, oh, I want to come get a service by you, but I'm always busy. I'm like, we're open to 8. We're open Sundays. We're open Saturdays. So you just don't want to come. That's how I look at it. So that's what I say. But yeah, that's like the hardest part. So.
Okay. And how did you go from it being just you to 10 people? What did that process look like?
So I needed the back surgery, and then during the back surgery, I literally took 2 weeks off after having back surgery. I know it's crazy because I'm like, I'm not making money. So if I'm not at work, I need to make money. How else am I going to do that? So then I hired my first employee, and then I had an overflow of clients. To me, it's like, if I'm having to turn away so many clients, I need someone to take that. So that's how I looked at it. So then I hired my first employee. Then after that, I had to hire the third one because she was over, and I just kept adding. And then it's like, once I opened one location, I moved away. So now I'm at this location and then having to fill that spot. So it's always just filling the spot to make sure there's always someone there.
Okay. Are y'all hearing this? I hear so many of the things that we've talked about in terms of scaling very quickly, having to hire very quickly. This is all within a 3-year period, yeah. 3-year period, right? Okay. Give us a little bit more about what some of the challenges have been. I'll get to some of your successes, but where have been some of the places that you may have really struggled?
The biggest thing right now is employees, because since the pandemic, people really don't want to work at all. Not at all. That's like my biggest thing. That's my goal for 2024 was that. It's trying to understand employees, because it's like, I'm doing all I can, but I can only do so much for you. I can't go harder than you. And that's like the biggest thing I'm trying to understand is it's like, some people really don't care. And if you don't care, then you're just not for me, because I'm building this business and it's very important that you care just as much as I do. I'm probably doing way more than other people do. Like, if you don't have a babysitter, absolutely, bring your kid. We have an extra room, because I understand. I used to be a single mom as well, so I know how it is. You can't, you're not getting paid to take off, but your babysitter can, so you still need to come in. So I don't mind that, I do as much as I can for them, but there's some people who truly just don't care.
Yeah. And how have you had to go from like being a service provider in the institution yourself to being a CEO, managing all of the stuff that nobody else can do for the business?
It's very hard. And I'm trying each time someone asks me a question, to write that process down, so they don't ask me again. And then trying to find a system, because I don't like pen and paper. I'm a very computer tech person, so I'm trying to find a system to put that in, because when I worked at Chase, they had a thing that was called Chase Answers, or they changed it to PNP, Policy and Procedures. You can type the question in and all the policies come up, or you just have to look through it. So that's what I'm building right now, is a place where, how to handle a no-show. They type that in, that policy, they got to look through it. They got to do some work and look through that policy to see like, hey, this is what's the process is for it. What I would do, instead of calling me all the time.
Okay, this is so good. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for questions. Feel free. Anybody got a question so far? Y'all a quiet bunch tonight. Okay, come on.
Go ahead. Now, you mentioned that you were a single mom. So are your children grown now?
No, I have the little boy out there. He's 5. Yep, he's the one who had heart surgery at 2. So he's completely fine now. You see him like jumping off the stuff over there. So it's fine. Yeah.
So I commend that too, because you have minor children.
And it's not
you're
easy.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because my son for a little while too, he had seizures when he had fever. So like my mom would call me like, oh, his temperature's 101, and then but like he just went into a seizure, so it's like I gotta leave. Or just like a couple months ago, I broke my ankle, so it's just like I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. But I don't want to take time off because I have 10 people, I have 2 locations, and trying to handle it all. But to me, it's like I'm gonna keep going because I'm not there yet to where I'm like I could just walk away.
Like, so many times you bring, because I used to, I'm still licensed to do hair, and when my children were minors, they were salon babies.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes sweeping the hair after a client
Absolutely.
and things like that. So you find you're bringing your kids on board and they're kind of seeing what you do?
Absolutely. He comes to work with me sometimes. He folds the laundry. He knows how to do that. He's still little, but I try to give him some stuff to do because if not, all I'm going to hear is mommy, mommy, mommy. And I'm like, you got to do something.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You had a question?
I was, I'm a client.
Yeah. How's that?
She takes me to another level. So I just love her and the work that she does, and her growth.
Yeah, I know. It's like you
I
was
love
like.
it. Yes, and so what was the reasoning, or what was the notion that okay, I'm gonna open the second spot?
So I think for me, I listen to Lansing. Your clients will tell you. And I remember specifically, I know exactly what client it is because I still see her. Her and her friends kept saying like, they went to MSU or they go to MSU right now. And I'm like, you drove all the way from East Lansing. I mean, it's not that far, but you as a freshman with no car taking an Uber to Lansing. And it was like, yeah, because, there's no black owned spa there. And, I'm from Detroit. I'm used to everything being black. And just over time, like, and I kept seeing more and more MSU students around spring break. I'm like, all right, we're going to open the next one. So then I opened the next one and it just worked out. And I'm like, I'm listening to them. And then now with MSU, all the girls I see them for 9 months straight. They go home for a little bit. Majority of them is from Detroit.
Yeah.
So now that's my other location,
Uh-huh.
trying to go that way.
Let's do it.
But I listen to them, and I think that's one thing I don't really see with some businesses is that they don't listen to Lansing. Lansing has the power to do whatever, but they are very vocal, and I see it all the time, like just even scrolling. So that's why even when they was talking about the service providers, I don't require a deposit. You do have a card file, but I don't require a deposit. There's no late fee. There's no, we may be late a little bit, but it's not like on purpose or anything. I try to listen to my clients, so.
Can you talk a little bit about the systems and technology that you have to use? You mentioned not wanting to use pen and paper.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples of the different functions in your business where you use technology and systems?
So right now I just switched to Square like 6 months ago, and Square is my favorite system. So I use that to communicate with my team. They can put time off there. They can trade shifts, I believe, on there as well. They can see their paycheck as far as commission goes. So that's all for teams. Then I use Square Appointments, obviously. That's my booking system. I have Gusto, which is a great team thing. It does my payroll because I have 2 locations, so Square can't do it, at least not yet. But that has everything. They can put time off. You can have it to where if, over time they accumulate paid time off as well. And then they can take it off and it minuses from the balance. You can do offer letters there. You have to sign contracts. Anything team-wise, Gusto has it. Square is coming up, so I have both. I use QuickBooks, even though I'm switching to Wave because Wave is free and it's the same thing. But what else do I use? And then I use System Hub, that's what it is for policy and procedures. It's made for people, for small businesses that don't have a place to put their policy and procedures. So you just, create a folder, create the document. You can put a video as a document. You can put a regular document. You can put hashtags, so when they actually type it in, it pops up. So I love that system. And then as far as, that's really what I do, because all of the systems I use is in Square or Gusto.
Okay.
Square or Augusta?
Yeah, Gusto is like an accounting, and then Square is just a POS system, but it does everything.
Okay, so, how much experience does the person have to go to be in a, so I ain't got no experience, but I wanna do it. So what it means, the training, certification, so how does an employee apply in?
So you have to be an esthetician, a licensed esthetician, and it's only 4 months to be an esthetician, but it's 4 months full time. So you're going from like Tuesday to Saturday, 9 to 5. So if you could do that, I tell people go there because they teach you the answers to the state board. So go there, get the test, and then worry about the experience after. Or you can go and become an apprenticeship. I actually got licensed in New York, and then I just got my license, dual license. So I'm licensed in New York and here. So.
So you mentioned one of the challenges that you were having being people. Can you talk a little bit about people management? So the way that you've had to discipline people, write people up, terminate them. Any experience with that so far?
Yeah, so I do everything in writing. Because I've had someone say I did not pay them and call one of the board people on me. I've had, I'm actually dealing with someone right now, a past client who said I have cameras in the waxing room. So she's called the state board, she's called the police. So to make sure I text stuff after I get off the phone, email it, everything, and I do not delete anything. Like right now I probably have messages from like 2017 because I refuse to delete stuff because they can come back, and I have never even lost a chargeback because I have them do a form before they get their service that agree to the terms. It's all over my website. It's posted in person in the store. It's posted like when they put the card in, check the box. It's posted everywhere. And then when they do a chargeback, I just take pictures and do all that. Never lost a chargeback, and I probably had like a good 25. Yeah, they do chargebacks a lot.
Yeah.
And I just tell them. They sure do. They do chargebacks, and I tell them, go ahead, because I'm very confident I'm gonna win.
Wow. What are some things that you wish you had have learned, whether it might have just be like technical education or just anecdotal? What do you wish you had have learned before you got into this industry?
I wish I would have accepted a manager position anywhere. Because I think that would have helped me understand how other businesses work. Because I've definitely used, every company I've ever worked for, I definitely used what they have done in my company, for sure. But if I would have been a manager, I would definitely know a lot more as far as employees. I've definitely made a mistake as far as like hiring an employee and not having them sign a contract. Well, I didn't know that. That was my first employee. I didn't know this, or how to fire someone, I mean, I just usually do what my old job used to do, give them less and less hours, and then eventually they quit. So I was like, that's probably not the best way, but hey, like they'll stop coming eventually. I don't know, stuff like that, I'm learning as I go. And yeah, I really wish I would have accepted a manager position, or even know how to do as far as like money drops. Like, cause we do accept cash, and our East Lansing cash, they all techie younger girls, so they don't have cash. West Lansing, we get a lot of cash all the time, and I do not like cash because we've been broken into before. So I'm like, I just don't want this to happen again. I mean, I have insurance, got the money back before, but if it happens again, I don't want no cash in the building, stuff like that. So I wish I would have just accepted a manager position just somewhere.
Let's go back to the question around when you knew it was time to scale. So like you mentioned, wanting or considering a Detroit location. What is your growth strategy in terms of how do you see this playing out as to how many locations you'll have or how far you want to be able to go?
So I want to keep going because I just feel like, if God is letting me keep growing, let me keep going. And I know I definitely want to be for the estheticians. So right now I have a group called Michigan Estheticians on Facebook. We have like 500 people in it. And I really want to hone on that. So I think I really want to create an esthetician store because I like retail, because service, if you have a business, choose a product-based business because your time is very valuable, okay? And I wish I would have did a product-based business because I can only do so much. My sales is great, but I feel like I could do better if I had a product-based business. So that's what I'm trying to do, is build an esthetician store, because I already ordered all these supplies already, and I ordered lots of it. Like I think like well over 200 pounds of wax has come to my shop just yesterday. So I'm already ordering it for me. Now I'm just trying to order it with my logo.
Yeah.
And then now just offering to estheticians. So now that's gonna be another part. So I already have my own shops, but now people can just shop with me as well. So our goal this year was to grow retail. We went from 5 figures a year to now 5 figures a month in retail. That was my goal. I made that goal. So now next year is just like employees, trying to make sure I'm doing things correctly and understand how employees work, what to do if they're not motivated, how to push them. Because service providers, they feel like, they come to me and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do brows just like you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not. And I'm trying to get them to understand, it's like, it's not gonna be, you're gonna be fully booked as soon as you come on my team. It's just like, you have to put in the, elbow grease just like I did.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to learn and how to explain that.
I'm really excited about this in particular. My daughter is currently in esthetician
Oh,
school.
nice.
Yeah, so she's in that program right now. And these are the kind of things I try to tell her. I think even young people, she's 19, in her mind, I'm gonna graduate from school, I'm gonna go open my own thing. And I'm like, no, you're not. Because there's so much to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
What products to buy, how to get
Absolutely.
them for the right pricing. What I also hear is this opportunity to scale even more, I'm gonna say horizontal in this way. So what you hear her saying is, by offering these retail products, she's buying them more at wholesale, buying at bulk, being able to offer them to people in this industry, and relatively not have to add any more expenses. So no more people, not another location necessarily, but she's growing her revenue, which is really scaling without having to add a ton of more overhead for that, right? So I love that is a natural outgrowth of you. You listen to your customers,
Yes.
but now you're listening to the people who are in this industry. But even being innovative enough to create the Facebook group for Michigan estheticians is innovative
What
in
was
that
the name
way.
of it? You said Michigan Esthetician?
Yep, Michigan Esthetician. This is for lash techs, makeup artists, aspiring estheticians. So your daughter can join, license. It could be really for almost anybody, because I have a lot of supplies. I'm buying trash bags.
Yeah.
So like you
Yeah.
may need it too for cheaper, or I've been in a position when I've had to go to Sally's, and it's very expensive to go to Sally's or somewhere local, and I'm not trying to have it as expensive as Sally's, because I'm getting it way cheaper than them. So that's what I want, because I've definitely been in a position where I'm like texting other people like, hey, do you have lash glue? Do you have XYZ? Nowhere here in Atlanta has it. So that's my next avenue.
All right, I'm gonna give you this one just because this just came with me. I could see you doing like a subscription kit, so like you're sending it to the people, right? So every month you're gonna get a box with your basic stuff, and you can order this other stuff, but the things that people might run out of could be on auto ship, where they know it's gonna be there, twice a month or something like that,
Yeah.
That's good. I love it.
I like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, but I love your strategy. How did you get into business? What, like you mentioned working in banking before. How did you learn this business acumen?
Honestly, I don't know. Because don't know one in my family come from business at all. Actually, my mom told me when I was thinking about working for myself, she was like, yeah, you can work for yourself, and then in January, go back to a job. But then January came around, and I'm like, yeah, I'm making way too much money to go back to a job. Like, I'm going to give myself a pay cut. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, business come naturally. Like, I did my own trademark, and it's approved.
Come
I'm
on.
through. Like, I know business very well, and it just comes naturally. Like, I'm up all night, like, trying to figure out something business-wise. And if you have a one-on-one conversation with me, you tell me your business idea, I promise you I can think of something real good for your business. It just comes naturally. I enjoy business. That's my favorite thing.
I love it. Yes.
Question about, because you are connected with the Black Lansing, right?
Yep, one of the
Yes,
co-founders.
so how did that evolve? Tell them.
So really it was not my idea. It was just Nijima's idea. And I know business. So I was like, okay, I'll get the back end for it. So it's really her idea. I can't even lie. That's her idea. And I just said, like, I know how to do LLC. I know how to build a website. I can do the back end for you. So a lot of the stuff I'm part of, I've just realized I like the back end stuff versus being the front. Because the front for me is Skin Studio. So,
I love it. So say a little bit more about what Black Lansing is, just for.
So Black Lansing is just a place where Black people can come together, people of color, let's say that more so. And they post a lot of stuff. So, you know, if you're trying to find, like my mom was trying to find someone, a handyman. So she found a black handyman, you know, putting the money back into us. Anybody can, you know, post in it and things like that. It helps because I'm not from Lansing, so I'm still learning some things. Like, I Google everything. I've never even been in this building. Like, I've never even knew this was here, you know? So, like, I'm still learning things. So to be able to go to a place where it's all black, absolutely. Because I'm so used to being in New York. It's so diverse in New York. And then I come here, it's mostly white things I have to participate in, especially being in East Lansing.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to spend my money with black people.
I'm sorry, can we stop talking about this? Because I'm gonna finally speak up for myself because her and Najima stole that group from me. And I've been silent about it for the last couple years, so let's just switch this topic. Cause I've been in another session where she publicly talked about this and I kept my mouth shut. And people checked on me afterwards, and I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut about that, so let's just change the subject.
So it's not my idea. I just helped a friend again. So
No,
that's it.
There's more to it, so don't let her lie to you like that, so.
Okay,
Let's
okay,
just
whatever.
move.
So anything, you can,
So,
yeah.
thank you for naming that, and out of respect for that, we are gonna change the topic of the conversation. How are we looking on time? 20 more minutes, okay. So I wanted to mostly talk about the growth that you've experienced,
Mhm.
right? You talked a little bit about wanting to go to Detroit. How do you see the business in 5 years, for example?
Man, I don't know, honestly, because I enjoy esthetician work. I definitely want to keep going as far as like bringing my place, my space into other spaces because I think Michigan lacks diversity. So like me on the East Lansing was really crazy because I'm the only black on spot. Like I even had a situation where the other spot upstairs, which I didn't really know there was another spot upstairs, like they were texting me kind of crazy. And he's white. And it's just like, you know, having to deal with that. And it doesn't make me feel comfortable because, you know, coming from New York is whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like when you're from New York, you have a backbone. Nothing really bothers you at all. So I would like to put my places in where black people are because the fact that there's no black esthetician in the East Lansing and East Lansing has such a huge diverse neighborhood is crazy to me. Like even like you know, Goodfellas, like I just feel like there's not enough black people. Even when I'm on the border in East Lansing and it's all white. I'm the only black person there. So I'm like, how are you guys making decisions about a neighborhood but there's a whole college area of a whole bunch of every race, every country probably. So I just think that it needs to be more diversity here, especially in Lansing.
Yeah,
So.
I think what is also really important about this business model is going into spaces where there is this lack of diversity and making that your niche.
Yes.
Now, I'm not gonna suggest coming to Detroit is a bad idea. I'm gonna say the opposite would be true there, right? So very similar in Detroit, your challenge is if you go to Metro Detroit,
Yes,
then you
everything.
run into that other problem, right? So it's really, I think, thinking about what we would say might be a market analysis, which is, hey, what are the people saying is what they need here? So very
Right.
similarly, our work is just outside of Detroit because there's nothing black outside of
Right.
Detroit. You know
And
what
the
I mean?
thing with Detroit is that I see these students 9 months out the year. There's only 3 months they go home.
Yeah.
I have their card on file. They get points with me. They're comfortable with me.
Yeah.
They know Skin Studio, so why would they go anywhere else?
That's right.
So
I
that's
see.
how it works out for me in Detroit because I've already made them so comfortable that me just being in Detroit is just gonna work out.
I see. So it's basically capturing that same clientele when they're in Detroit, for
Mhm.
example.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, is that the summer months, for example?
Yes.
Okay.
It's some December, but not really. Only gone for like 2 weeks, so
Okay.
it's not really
Okay.
major.
I like that though. And so when we talk about the kind of growth that you envision, do you see this as being something that you will have as like company owned? Do you envision franchise, for example? Like what have you seen as being like the big, you know, vision for what could be possible for a brand
So
like
I
this?
definitely feel like I want to franchise because, like, if you work for me, I don't want you to work for me forever and then not get nothing out of it. Like, if you want to branch on your own, I already did it. Let me show you how to do it, you know? So that's why I'm going. It's like, anyone who works for me or anyone who wants to connect with me, like, let's do it. I know esthetician work really well, and I really do listen to people around me, so.
I love that. Any other questions?
Go
I have
ahead.
one.
Go ahead.
Just about, because you mentioned contracts with employees,
Mhm.
and you would have them,
I have them now, yes,
you
definitely.
have them now, so originally you didn't, like, so what does that consist of? Like, cause you got a special type of work, like they work on,
They hourly plus commission.
okay, hourly, and so
Yep.
what would that consist of? that they would have a contract or,
So, okay, so in the esthetician school, they only teach you the very basics. They don't teach you lashes. They don't really teach you how to really perfect waxing or even get faster and all that other stuff. And I do microblading, all those other things. So people want to learn that, and instead of paying for it, they can work for me. So I have them sign that they have to be with me for a year, and then in that 1 year they can learn these things. And if they quit before then, they will have to pay me back. And then after that, I have in my contract, you can't work anywhere. I have to look at it in a certain amount of radius either, because people come here real quick, try to build a clientele and try to leave.
Yeah.
That's not fair to me, because I've worked really hard to help you. So, yep, if you do that, you have to pay me as well. So it's those type of things to make sure. And I've already had to send three cease and desist for certain things, because I feel like as owners, we want to, it's okay, whatever, let them go, it's fine. No, be for real, because if you work for a big corporation, they will come for you. So I need to treat you the same. And it's, I don't want to do that because I feel like we had a good relationship, but it's just like the rich people don't care. What I just saw recently that Disney is suing some little boy because he used Spider-Man on his tombstone, but they didn't have the rights for it. On a tombstone. It is so bad. But that, I guess listen, it's money. They're not playing it. I don't say go that far. If somebody died, don't sue the state. But that's what makes them rich. That's what makes them. We got to put our feelings aside to do that. So I've been just really being serious with myself, and like, I don't talk. If you got a problem, we can just go to court and then figure it out, because I know my paperwork is very well. I got it always.
Well, even what you're describing as part of the employment agreement is a non-compete clause,
Yeah.
right? Which is being able to spell out, hey, don't take what you learned from here and then think you're gonna go use it, particularly if you're within a certain mile
Right,
radius. And
exactly.
that's the part that makes it enforceable. We might not be able to say you can't go anywhere and do it, but you definitely can say, hey, if you in the same vicinity where you're going after the same clients,
Absolutely.
I think that's really, really good.
And I had an attorney write mine, because I think mine is about 7 pages. It is very detailed. Like, he learned out everything that he has experience with. So yeah, mine is very detailed.
well, in counseling, when I do, they like, for agencies and things like that, they have us sign some things like that, especially when you are seeing clients and, the ethical part of it, because some clients want to follow you when you
They
leave.
do.
Yeah.
You
And
same thing with service providers. You
And
gotta
so
protect that, because they would have found them unless they came to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's not fair. They could find you anywhere, but you shouldn't be taking them with you.
Yes.
If they happen to find you, but it's not gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna write their name and up, but hey, I just
Yeah.
left this place. No, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
And that's tough too, because in the beauty industry, I imagine, like, if you've got somebody who's been doing your brows or your lashes, that's your person. So it's like, how do you support the client who might say, no, I really like this person's work, but also respect the fact that it's built into your business framework, for example. So how does that typically work?
So one, I think I'm very personable. So I usually know everyone, even though if they're not my client, I still speak to them, because I feel like, they won't get the same experience. Because I feel like with service providing, it's not the actual service, it's the experience. Because I see some people that are fully booked or really booked, and I'm looking at their work, I'm like, that's not that good, but they might give a better experience than me. So I push on my girls, like, it does not matter if you are the best and the best. If you don't give them a good experience, it's not gonna matter. If I'm always late, eventually you're gonna get tired of me. If I come in with a nasty attitude, eventually you're gonna get tired of me. So I always try to tell them it's about the experience many times.
Absolutely. Okay, any other questions? I definitely, thank you, Aurelis.
Lauren, truly appreciate you being here.
Of
Thank you
course.
for taking the time. When we had talked a couple months back, you were on a fireside chat like this, and you were talking about just how important systems were for your business, and you mentioned the E-Myth, which I encourage you all to get. It's a good book. We talked about a lot, how systems have helped, like the business operations. Can you talk about how implementing systems in your business has helped outside of business, like for your personal life, how it's impacted like your own well-being?
So having a business, I feel like I'm always trying to do business in my personal relationships. So like anyone comes to me, I'm like, oh, that's a good business and things like that. And even like when I'm on vacation, I try to set my phone on system automatic, so I don't have to respond, because knowing me, I will keep going. So anything in my life, I try to make it very easy, just like in my business. So like, even if I ask my mom to run to my house, like I know where something is, I try to implement that in my life. Even my son, we're on a set schedule because it works with my life, and it helps for him, to understand like this is how something goes. So I think I implement systems that way, just trying to make it easier for everyone. So if I'm not here for whatever reason, it doesn't crash and burn. That's how I look at it.
So let's sit there for a second.
One more question.
I was gonna say, if you're not here, the
Okay.
business does not crash and burn. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Justin.
How was it, was there any barriers, you being in Delta Township, Waverly, and then moving to East Lansing? What are the barriers as far as, in a way, like, as far as getting the buildings and stuff? Because, both of those areas that you're in are both typically can be annoying.
Yeah.
So what barriers did you have as a business, as a black woman in the business areas?
It was
Those
actually
areas.
very hard to find a building in East Lansing because downtown East Lansing, East Lansing period, survives off the students. So you have to be where it's convenient. So where I found my spot, I have a bus stopping right in the front of the building, I have parking directly in the back, and I'm in downtown where everything is, so they're walking. Now, when I was looking for a building, I'm not a storefront in East Lansing because that was not available. Everything in East Lansing is made for food. Every building I looked at, like I would have to rip out stoves and kitchen and so, and I was like, I'm not doing that. That's gonna cost way too much money. So that was hard to just find in a building, period. Now I lucked up because I worked with the Lansing Chamber and they sent me a bunch of properties and I happened to have that one in my email. And I just was looking at the floor plan. I'm like, this works out perfect. And then seeing it. So for me personally, I don't look for like the most perfect thing. It's always gonna be something off. So my thing is not a storefront and it's not even in the most updated building. Like people are like, it's scary coming out here. But then my suite is really beautiful. So, I just like, it's whatever. And I try to put signage as much as I can so people can find it. And I kind of lucked up because now I'm an MSU student. So now I have access to their entire email base. So we've been putting emails in like crazy into our newsletter. So then we send them out and then we get clients. Like I build my email base tremendously. I think I got 5,000 people right now in my email base. Okay, because I work very hard to try to get people's information because I feel like that's the only way to do it. Like if I see you one time, you may not remember me, but if I got that email and phone number, like you gonna remember me because I shoot them boys out like all the time. Just like Fashion Nova. Like people think I'm crazy like when I be doing something like Fashion Nova, absolutely. Because that's how they build their business, always doing sales, always doing stuff. So I look at those companies that grew really fast and how can I do it and just implement the same thing. But listen to what people are commenting under their posts, go to your competitor. If they're commenting, your website is the worst thing ever. Go to their website and then look at your website. If it's very similar, that's probably why you don't have the, good clientele because it's frustrating. But being in East Lansing is hard. I'm not gonna lie because in the summer months, it is slow. Like no one, I want to say no one's there, but it's extremely slow. So like, I'm like down 5,000-10,000 a month in the summer. But once the students are back, it is go time. I always tell the girls, don't take vacation during the school year. Right. Take vacation during spring break, Christmas, and summer. That's when you get, like right now I have a bunch of girls taking Christmas break. I was like, absolutely go. We don't even be open. But, I still want to be open for the community because there are some people who still live there and some people go to summer school and stuff like that. But that's the only hard thing. But Delta Township is always popping. Like that Meyer is crazy, especially right now because they updated it. So like that's a little bit easier because they're just always out. People are always shopping. East Lansing, yeah, it's tough. I'm dealing with college kids. They ain't got no money. They like the first week of the month is like kind of terrible for us because they don't have no money. But then after that, they're going crazy. So that's the only thing. You just gotta look at the market. Like that's how I look at it. I talk to them too. I'm like, hey, I ain't seen them. They're like, oh, I had no money this weekend. So I made the deposits at one point I made the deposits $5-10 for East Lansing because they can afford $5-10, but they can't afford $50 right then and there. So I did something small, and then I started seeing it. Now I don't do no deposits and we're constantly always booked.
Okay, so I want to wrap on advice that you would give this particular cohort? So obviously, these are all folks who are aspiring to get to a place where they have these kind of problems. These are like scaling problems, right? What would you like to share with them as far as final thoughts for this group?
Social media. Like, that's what built my business, honestly. It's like, I go crazy on social media. I think a lot of you guys have me on Facebook, and I really go in. I spend a lot of time on social media, but that's what helps my business. And it's not just posting something like, I'm liking people's stuff. Happy birthday. I used to do happy birthday from Skin Studio, and tag my company name. I'm a little younger, so I see a lot of my younger people, and then when I see like kind of a little bit drama, I drop that Lansing Drama 20 code, you know, get 20% off, because everybody on it, so like, let's do it. And then that goes crazy, you know. I do it all the time. I don't care. I do stuff like that, and I'm always on social media. I think that's what's going to really help your business grow. I post like 2 to 4 times on Instagram. I have 10,000 followers on TikTok, you know. I really think of crazy things, you know, and think about problems that you have in your business. If you have the problem, probably all the other bakeries or, you know, counselors and stuff like that have that same problem, and just make it into a funny joke. Reshare it. So that's what I try to do. So make social media your number one thing.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom and expertise.
course.
We spent the last almost 6 months working together on how to grow our business, primarily with systems. So that's really where our area of expertise is. And so it's exciting just to be able to hear about somebody who, particularly since the pandemic, has been able to have that kind of success. So congratulations on all of that. Holler at us when you get to the Detroit
I know,
area.
I'm trying. I'm coming there.
And we again thank you again for your time. So.
Of course, thank you.
All right, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. I appreciate